Hi, you are on the Revenge Eddie channel.
I am 40 years old, and most nights I make a living opening what other people have closed. Daytime locksmith work is bright and polite, new deadbolts, duplicate keys, receipts clipped to estimates. I take the hours when the city thins out and mistakes get louder. From dusk to dawn, I answer for students who sprinted to the laundry without keys, bartenders who stepped to the alley for one breath and found the latch set behind them, new parents who slept 19 minutes and woke to a locked nursery door and a fear too large for the room. Nurses call me. Musicians call me. Once a magician called me and asked if I knew how to make a safe feel cooperative. I told him safes don't feel, but people do. My van is gray and learned looking, the kind of vehicle that says nothing and gets away with it. The radio is set to voices, midnight weather, late talk, baseball replays that sound like lullabies for people who can't sleep. I keep a notebook on the dash and write down every address and what was waiting behind the door, hushed parties, angry silence, a dog that forgave everyone instantly. On slow nights I park by the river and let the water tell me the time. On fast ones I chew gum to stay awake and remind myself that the world is full of doors because it is full of rooms people care about. People think locks give way to force or tricks. Mostly they give way to listening. You set the wrench, kiss the plug with gentle torque, and feather the pick until each pin says, there. If you rush, the pins go stubborn and the lock becomes a sermon on patience. I used to rush everything. I married at 24 because momentum felt like destiny, became a father at 26 because love needed a calendar, and watched my marriage loosen like a screw no one could quite snug down. My ex-wife, Lena, once told me I listened best when metal was talking. She was kind, even then. She was also right. Our son, Theo, is 12 now. On my fridge he leaves drawings of robots with hopeful expressions and knees I cannot explain. When he was small, he thought my job was a kind of hero work. You save people, he'd say, watching me lay out pics on a towel like surgical instruments. Now he mostly asks if he can take apart dead cylinders. I give him the ones I can spare. He holds the pieces in his palm as though they're fossils from a species called Door. One January night the temperature fell until breath had edges. Calls were steady, frozen car latches, a store owner who sheared the last good key off in a tired lock. Near midnight my phone lit with a number I knew but had never saved, the super from Lena's building. Got a lady in 5B locked out on the landing, he said. Kids sleeping inside. You still do nights? I said I did, though my heart had already said it for me. The stairwell smelled like bleach, curry, and laundry detergent that promised too much. Lena stood on the landing in a sweater meant for warmer choices, arms crossed, eyes tired and amused at once. For a second she looked like any client, then she was herself again, the person who once knew all my opinions before I did. It's not what it looks like, she said automatically, which made both of us smile because it was exactly what it looked like, a mother who set keys down for 1 second and paid for it. This lock hasn't been changed since you moved in, I said, mostly to steady my hands. I kept meaning to, she said. Inside, a lamp clicked on, then off. Theo sleepwalks sometimes. He also reads under a blanket with a flashlight he thinks I don't recognize because I invented the trick in 1993. Picking is a conversation you hold in public with something private. I set tension, set the pick, and listened. Tiny climbs, soft drops, the click that means metal has remembered its purpose. The plug turned. I stood up and stepped back. Lena slipped inside and whispered thanks to the air. She returned with a folded 20. During the divorce we made a rule, no money exchanged except what the court requires. Rules exist so people don't rescue each other into resentment. I can't take that, I said. Business, she said, and kept her hand out. I took the bill and folded it again, as if size could shrink meaning. Want to see him? She asked. We had never allowed for this, unscheduled crossings that confuse calendars. I nodded. Theo was a tangle on the couch, one arm out like a semaphore saying all clear. On the coffee table, a half-built robot and the small Phillips screwdriver I gave him last birthday. I tucked the blanket the way I always do and whispered, keep the screwdriver under the cushion. It's the first place I'd look. Lena smiled despite herself. Drive safe, she said. The 2 words were a truce we hadn't signed. Nights after that one came with a new kind of quiet. Between calls, I kept thinking about how often people ask me to open a door not because they can't get in, but because they want to get back to just before. We pretend doors are walls. Mostly they're punctuation. A comma to rest at. A period you regret. A question mark you have to walk past. Some calls are slapstick. A drummer locked out of rehearsal because he used the spare as a bottle opener and snapped it in half. A line of bridesmaids trapped in a limo while the driver watched a "How to Pick a Lock" video and asked me questions like I wasn't already answering them with my hands. A safe that held a stack of letters and a single shoe, the client tipped me extra to forget his face. I can't forget faces. I file them by street and scent, paint thinner, leftover roses, old coffee, and by the sound people make in the second before relief. A month later, Lena's name appeared on my phone for the first time in years. "He's with you this weekend," she said, voice even in the way that makes you listen harder. "He left his science project here, the lemon battery. He's upset. I said I could pick it up. Could you come after he's asleep? He doesn't want me to be sad." The way she said he and me sounded like two rooms in one small house, dishes clinking through thin walls. The hallway smelled like Theo's basil plant, summer planted in winter. Lena handed me the tray where lemons wore wires like jewelry. He asked me who fixes things when the fixer forgets. I wanted to say I am learning. I wanted to say I cannot drill through every problem without leaving shavings. I said, "Tell him the battery will work better in the morning." "Most things do," she said. We stood there, the sovereigns of careful boundaries, holding a tray of citrus electricity and a short history of us. Word got around that I worked late and didn't go stiff over price when a person was choosing between heat and help. I didn't discount out of nobility. I remembered being 20 and broke, forehead pressed to a locked door like it was a judge. Mrs. Novak from the bakery taught me which back door yields if you pet it just right. A paramedic gave me a code for coffee that tastes like burnt promises but does what it needs to. Mr. B, the crossing guard, texts me at odd hours, keys on seat, silver sedan, Maple and 5th. On nights when nothing comes, I oil the hinges on my toolbox and pretend I'm tuning a piano no one hears. The scariest call this winter came from a man barefoot on a fire escape, locked out in wind that skinned the ears. He laughed the laugh people used to tell their fear to wait in the hall. I climbed out, boots arguing with the metal, and popped his window with a plastic wedge and a prayer to friction. He stepped in and cried a little because bodies vote before brains do. "You saved my life," he said, which wasn't true in any grand sense but felt true enough for a man with warm feet again. He tried to pay me with gratitude and a broken watch. I took the gratitude, fixed the watch in the van, and left it ticking on his kitchen table. Theo asks questions I pretend are for him and know are for me. How many locks are there in the world? Enough. What happens if a key breaks inside? You work around the broken part and take your time. Why do doors swing inward in houses and outward in stores? So home can hold you and crowds can let you go. He told me one day he wants to build a robot that can learn which doors are safe to open. I told him that's called judgment and we are all still building it. I am 40 years old. I own a van and a set of tools and a magnet with my number printed under my name. I am a man who lost a marriage because he could open anything but his own mouth. I am a father who tucks a blanket the same way in 2 apartments and trusts the gesture to hold more than fabric. Most nights I open things. Some nights I leave things closed on purpose, including my phone when it buzzes with numbers that used to be names. The work is small but honest. Tension, light touch, patience. I listen for the click that says a pin has found home, and when I hear it, I breathe. Then I turn, just enough, no more, and let the door remember how to be a door.